everyone. Welcome to SureFire Live. Thank you for joining us again this week. It's been fun. It's been great. We've gotten great feedback, and thank you for spreading the word and even looking forward to every week's broadcast. Tonight, I have a special guest, Dave Kresge from Snaplok. I'm going to bring him on here in just a minute. I met him a few years ago, and I got a funny story that I want to talk about with him and I meeting. But I wanted to announce we launched a new Facebook group called Chimney World. It was Chad Murray's idea. Chad came this weekend, stayed in Nashville. We talked business, we talked ideas, and he's like, we need to have a type of Facebook page that has a component on it that lets advertisers or lets people that supply the chimney industry have a place to put events, products, ideas for consultants and trainers and businesses and so that's the idea of Chimney World. Look it up if you would like to be a part of it. And we want to be good to people, right? We want to be, if you have a problem with a product, try to contact them first. Sometimes, manufacturers learn from these things. And so let's try to be constructive as we can on this. If you join us, it's going to be like on Tuesdays. We're going to let products be talked about and things be advertised. And then the rest of the time, it'll be open for, public, as other forums are. It might be a little more business forward. Got a couple early people on. Cody Whitwood said hello. James Paul says hello, Mark and Dave. And then Cody Whitwood says, woohoo, Chimney World. So thank you, guys. All right. So with no more further ado, I've got my friend Dave Kresge. Hey, welcome, Dave.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So I've got to tell a story about me and Dave. A couple of years ago at the New York Guild, a friend of mine, me and Dave were sitting there having adult beverages, I believe.
Yes, for sure.
I was anyway. We were at an auction, and my friend Andreas Gartner brought a cutout of his logo. Ronald Clark was there. Hey, Ronald, how are you, buddy? He knows this very well because he was doing tequila and I think like pickle juice or something.
There was some moonshine involved as well.
Moonshine. So so this piece right here came up for auction.
Yes.
It may be the most expensive piece in New York Chimney Guild history, but this is a logo from a friend of mine's chimney company in Germany. And he got up there and I'm like, I'm going to buy it. Actually he was staying with me. We traveled together. I'm like, I'm going to buy this. Little did I know, Dave also wanted this.
Yes.
And we got into
I had just met those guys at that outing.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to buy it. I'm just going to buy it. So I start going, and all of a sudden, I don't even look who's behind me. Dave is sitting behind me and just bidding me up. And this probably $20 piece, thin metal, went for a ton of money. And thank you, Dave. And I'm like, after it got, four figures, I'm like, who was doing this? I look back, back there, So
at that point, I didn't know who Mark Stoner was.
We learned who each other were.
I had just met you that night, and I'm just back in the game, so I didn't really know who you were.
That was fun. That raised a lot of money for them.
Probably the best auction, I think. Ever.
That was super fun. So thank you for doing it. I love that.
So spending your money. Although I would have gladly paid if you would have just folded, but that wasn't going to happen, I guess.
Yeah, that was so fun. So Ronald Clark said those are called picklebacks. I would have never thought that drinking pickle juice was good, but the way they had it.
Yeah. It wasn't a bad night.
So, all right. So let's talk. This is the first time I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk. Well, tell me who Snaplok is. Where did you come from? How did you start, going down this road?
Well, I started sweeping in 1988 was when I first started getting into chimney sweeping. I went to school for electrical engineering and somehow ended up a chimney sweep. So I think we've all got that kind of story. But, after 15 years in the business, my knees started going bad. So I just found that like screwing rods together was not the way to go. So like when my knees started going bad, I figured there's a better way. 20 years ago, back in 1999, I guess it was, I started like coming up with a quick connect system. At that point, it was the single button lock stuff, and the Rovac vacuums came next. I honestly kind of took a play off of the August West system, to be honest. First off, I was doing a lot of dryer vent cleaning, and nobody was doing that around here, and I just saw that there was such a huge need for it. So my first intention after sweeping and my knees going bad was to create a system like for dryer vent cleaners based on the August West system. So it was kind of a franchise thing where you just, put together a package of equipment and include some training and, kind of just offer that as a business opportunity, kind of like August West did with many sweeps. That's how I got started in business. And so I originally started the single button lock stuff back then, and started that in 1999, sold it to Perkins in 2004, I guess it was. He went off and did some other retail stuff, some QVC stuff, never thinking I'd ever be back in the business.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was crazy that in 2013, I think it was, I was probably at that point, doing some QVC stuff. But anyway, maybe 3 or 4 sweeps in the UK started emailing me, asking me to come up with equipment again because they weren't real satisfied with what they were dealing with over there, and customer service over there for some of the competition now was not so great. So I said, yeah, sure. It's not in like the US market. I had already sold to Perkins and didn't want to compete. So in 2013, honestly, the dual button system I actually designed first. But
really?
Yeah, that was my first original idea in 99. But when I went to manufacturing, it was just too expensive. Nobody was going to buy. They weren't going to go from a $15 screw together rod to a $55 dual button rod because
right, for one
was so high, right? So I ended up kind of settling on the single button at that time. And then after, so many years of, sourcing and manufacturing, I've now got my own manufacturing and can do, what I need to do at a reasonable cost. So anyway, in 2013, a few guys from the UK said, hey, could you design something for us over here? And I was like, yeah, I could do that, because it's not competing in the US. And not that there was any like non-competes anyway, but so yeah, I just like had the dual button put together in 2 weeks, and the rest is history. I started with Mark Hart in probably 2013, maybe 14, but made him my master distributor for the UK and Europe, and try to work out a deal with Perkins to kind of bring it to the US. But after 5 years, it just really didn't happen. So I think in 2018, I just started launching it myself, and it's a quicker, more effective, more efficient system. So after having it spread, I have to give Mark the credit over in the UK because he really took it from being a sole distributor in the UK to taking it to 23 different countries. Honestly,
he works. He's worked your guys' brand.
He's great at marketing, and he's a very personal guy, as and he and I get along great, and we did a lot of international shows together. I remember we did a show in Italy. It was probably in 2014. We did the Hearth show over in Verona, and we walked away with about business cards from like 24 different countries, I think it was. Wow. And he and I went back and we started scratching our heads, and we were like, I think there's something here. So we just, we worked together for quite a while, but I give a lot of credit to Mark, over in the UK, because he just like kind of was really good at pinpointing the right guys and in the industry that were either, like top distributors at that time, or just guys that were involved in training in Germany and Switzerland, Sweden. So that's really how it took off over there. And,
I noticed One of your things you guys seemed to do early on was you're very supportive of the chimney, you know, industry itself. Like you guys
Mm,
are out there. I mean, yeah, you're advertising, but you're also supporting a lot of the things we're doing. How important was that in your branding of what you guys did?
it really comes, I think, from my field experience, because I swept for 15 years, but I didn't just sweep chimneys. I did all the restoration side of things. So I broke out tile and liners, and but what I think was key for me, and even just in different industries outside of chimney, is I added air duct cleaning to my service business,
Mhm.
added dryer vent cleaning to my service business. So, after so many years of doing those three, separate industries in one, it just gives me the ability to come up with the products that, for me, it's kind of easy, to be honest.
You
I
guys are
just know what we need, and I know how to do it. So it's kind of fun.
well. You guys are so innovative over there. Like you're coming out with products all the time, and somebody else had said, "Hey, if I have an idea, I talk to Dave, and it seems like
Right.
he can make it happen."
Right.
How are you able to innovate so quickly?
You know what? I've got good resources for manufacturing. Recently, I learned CAD and got a 3D printer, so that makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Because everything I did in the past was like a 2D drawing, and like all the concepts went onto a 2D drawing, and then I have different sources for 3D, and then it goes from 3D to whether it be molding or whatever. But yeah, I think what makes it happen so fast is that I've probably had enough experience doing it over the past 20 years.
And
So
you
I
have
invite guys, like guys tell me all the time, because everybody in the industry has ideas. Like
right.
everybody's come up with something to make it happen. So what I really have focused on in the past year is just inviting those ideas, and
Right.
as the guys come to me with stuff, I mean, that is their idea. That's not mine, it's theirs. So, like, if we promote it and we manufacture it and move forward with it, they get a good, it's not a royalty type basis. It's more like they're a, distributor, even though
Really?
we're doing all the manufacturing and everything. So, I think you're going to see a lot of cool ideas from sweeps over the
I
next year.
love that. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
that's a great thing. That's really great.
Yeah. Well,
It
guys
always,
have ideas, but they don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, or how
for
to
sure.
market it or whatever. So I have that avenue now, and I have the resources to do it. So, yeah.
I love hearing that. I think a lot of people will too, because I've
Yeah.
never even heard of that in our industry. A couple questions coming in or comments. Mike Fazy says, I'm a super late adopter to the Snaplok rods and cameras. We switched everything over this year and it's been a huge improvement. Thank you, Mike. Cody
Thanks, Mike.
Whitwood kind of said something about what you just said. We'd love to open. Would you be open to looking at making a new product? We use GoPro
Mm.
cameras and universal centering tool would be life altering.
Mm.
So I think
Definitely
you're
thinking about that already.
okay. So let's just talk about that for a second. What if you have a
Yep.
conflict? What if somebody comes to you, you
Hmm.
got something in development?
Yeah.
Do you have to sign non-disclosure agreement? How
Mm.
do you do that?
Yeah. Usually that's the first thing that I say is like, and I have my own that is like very universal, but yeah, because I have a lot of things in the works already, so I kind of just get a like a basic idea first of what they're talking about, and if it's not it, because there are things that I've not like thought about, like
Right.
that is like cool, and that's where I just take it and I'm like, sign a non-disclosure first. Don't tell me anything more. I don't want to know anything more. You know what I mean? And
Right.
then we go from there, really. So we're starting to do that more and more.
That's this industry is full of very smart, innovative guys
Yeah,
that
for
don't.
sure.
They're busy. They don't really know how to get something made. They
Right.
make stuff in their garage, make stuff
Exactly.
at
Yeah.
home. Like now what? So for you to
Right.
open that door is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Another question, real quick. Ron Clark says, "How about an affordable thermal imaging camera?" Here's the thing. I don't want to
Mm.
put too many things out here, you guys. I think because then all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, I said that on SureFire Live," and now
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so I used to be in the music business, and
Yes.
they would not. You couldn't just hand your song to somebody and say, "Listen to it," because they're like, "Hey, I can't take that." So his
Right.
point is, contact him, go through the right channels, and he
Right.
may be able to help you bring a product to market. Would that be fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want a bunch of people claiming they thought of it and then you stole it.
And that is the tough part. Like, because I got a million things going through my mind already, and probably 108 new items right now on my list next to me. And it's tough.
I bet the world will want to see that list. But anyway,
well, hopefully,
so real quick. So I want to go. If let me ask you this before we get into your products.
Mm-hmm.
How has COVID and sourcing and getting products to market affected you this year?
You know what? Last year in 2020, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, everybody went, was super busy. Let's face it. Like last year was like the best year for any service industry, from what I've heard from most, and for us as well. It was just like bonkers crazy. The sourcing side of things really started to kick in, I think, about like August, September, where you started to see delays where, like when I ordered motors for the vacuums, it was like normally, 8-week lead time. It went to double. But I'm feeling it more this year. The 2021 has been just kind of a domino effect from last year.
Right.
And it's this year, like my manufacturers, fabricators are like behind. Everything is behind, more so than last year.
We're all feeling that because we're out of stuff. It's catching up now to this year. Gas log supplies for us, and basic materials. You just can't get stuff.
Right. And it's just everybody. And I even know like a lot of contractors that are like, well, we used to get like seven different colors of shingles. Now we have 3. Yeah. Used to get 7 different colors of siding. Now you get 3 choices.
We used to have 30 different kinds of logs. Now you get 1.
Right. Yeah. So I think 2021 is going to be a big challenge. I mean, I've ordered like my vacuum parts, some of them anyway, like plastics and tanks and things like that, come from Italy. They're so backed up. So, we've had a delay there, but like I've ordered like a year's worth of everything from everyone that I know. Right. We've took all of last year's sales and we increased it by 25% and ordered enough now. And we're building now for the fall. So, we're still behind a little bit because it's just still been like crazy busy. But
I think everybody understands that you're making great products. We're in a worldwide pandemic. Hopefully coming out of it, we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, and I haven't done this before. I'm going to try to switch screens and add this other screen. I don't know if I can do that here. Okay, it loses you. Okay, can you see your logo on this screen?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to go through your products and see if I can do this right. So this first one is your double. Can you see this now? Because
yes, I can. Yeah.
Explain what we're looking at here, and what makes yours different.
Well, the dual button. The nice thing about the dual button is that with the tapered buttons, you don't have to push the button to put them together. Mm-hmm. So my old button lock stuff, you had to actually like physically push the button and push.
I remember that. That was hard.
Yeah. And if you had a glove on, it would like get caught in there. And then getting it apart is like the same equally. It's equally a little bit difficult to get it apart because you got to push the whole button down. With the dual button, what I've done is I've been able, like spreading the torque between the 2 buttons and tapering both buttons, I've been able to reduce the height of the button. So that just means that it slides together and like clicks in a quarter turn easy. But to get it apart, it just creates a slight pinch to get it apart because the button height is not as high because you're spreading it between the 2. So, and I recently went to all stainless on every rod pretty much that I make. More of a like personal preference because like stainless just slides together like butter. Like I just like the feel. So, the fittings will far outlast the rod material for sure. But, I just like the feel of the stainless because it just goes together smoother, even though the others were just like, zinc plated or, chrome plated. But, so it just,
there's something about the way you connect it to the poly too that's different, correct?
Yeah, well, I don't use pins at all anymore. I mean, I gave up on that a long time ago because the pins kind of like they wear over time, and then the pins kind of work their way out. And when you've got, not everybody uses a sleeve or something to spin the rod in their hand, so the pins just kind of work their way out and kind of grab your glove or grab your hand, and it gets ugly after that. So I just what I do with the poly rods is I just do a injection molded plug that goes in the end, so it makes it more of a solid end, and then I can crimp it. So that's how I've gotten away from that.
Yeah, those are slick. They really go together great. All right, so this is was this your single button or is this double button too?
That's a double button. It's just a picture of the steel rods. I started carrying the steel rods, I guess this past fall. I do the 1/4-inch rods that have been around forever. We've used them from the Pete Luter days. That's what I always used was the 1/4-inch rods. And, again, everything stems back to my personal experience breaking out tile and rotary cleaning with chains. But the 1/4-inch rods, I used to break them all the time. So I went to what's new and unique now is I've got the 5/16 diameter rods. So they're much, that extra diameter on the rod makes it much beefier. So they don't bend. I mean, I always say, to guys that have offsets or whatever, buy, maybe 3 or 4 of the 1/4-inch and then add the 5/16 to that. The 5/16 with the new tile breaking rods, they're much beefier and they don't break. They don't, they're just much more durable. So,
next picture up was this vacuum. What's special about this vacuum?
Mark, you froze?
Hold on. Did I lose you?
I'm still here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for 1 second.
Yeah, my internet's kind of wonky. So can you see the picture of your vacuums here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about these.
Well, what I did different from the Rovac back in the day is, I took a lot of what I learned from that and a lot of what I knew we needed in the industry that I probably wanted to do 20 years ago, but didn't have the capability of doing it. But, I kind of, before I got back into vacuums, again, I have the, experience from the past. I tested several different vacuum motors and went through a whole process of just really finding with our dust collection vac. I just tried to find, because there is new innovations in vacuum motor technology. So I just tested a bunch of different vacuum motors and found the best conical shaped vacuum motor that pulls a lot of CFM and also has a high suction rate. So those are the two things that we're always looking to get. We're trying to get a lot of air movement so we can control the dust. And secondly, we want to just just be able to use it for heavy pickup. So I've just found, what I feel is the highest performance motors that I could possibly find to put in the vacs, and then couple that with a new filtering system and the option of a disposable bag filter, which has been really starting to kick in because a lot of guys are they like not having to dump the vac. They don't, really want to brush off the vac or vacuum it off or blow it off the filter anyway. So we kind of have that option of you can either go reusable or you can go disposable. So
on this, what we're looking at is a single motor. Is that a triple motor on here?
That's a 2 motor there, but I do a 3 motor as well.
Gotcha.
I'd say 50% of the sales so far is about 50% 2 motor, 50% 3 motor. I personally came up with this combo because that's what I always used to use. Is I always had a small vacuum on the truck. I live in Connecticut, so we have a lot of oil flues and basements and stuff like that. You don't really want to lug the big vac down into the basements. So I always had a small vac for doing oil flues. So that has actually been a very popular combo because most of the guys I talk to, they say, I want the 3rd motor because it's there if I need it, and if I do a breakout, I want it. But half the guys, and I always say, look, why lug around the extra weight of the 3rd motor? It's an extra 4 pounds. It actually makes a difference, every day in and out of the house. But the 2 motor, plenty. If you need, a little extra airflow, bring in the small guy, and you have some extra.
Interesting. I got a couple questions for you here. One, Jim Brewer asks, Do you recommend hearing protection for guys using the vax?
Yeah, always. I mean, I don't know if I like publicly like state it anywhere, but yeah, anytime you're using, the vac right next to your ear. I mean, I had the old soot sweeper too, is what I used for 15 years, and I'm sure Jim is very familiar with that. Uh, that thing is a whiner, so yeah, you definitely want to have some ear protection. I mean, we're under 70 decibels, so it's like even at 68, it's like still something I would recommend for sure.
Yeah, great question, Jim. Another recommendation, Kivo Martinez says, smaller cameras for entering small size dampers, please, and thank you. I think we're going to get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
What you had sent me. All right, so let's move. Thank you for that. Move to. Are these just the different size metal rods here?
Those are the 5/16s. Yep. Those are the thicker rods. Yep. For steel. That's kind of a very popular complete system there. You know what I did? I put together like 3 basic systems for chimney cleaning. This is the complete system. And really guys really like to have, just something that they can just say, okay, I've got everything I need in one package. And, based on, my experience and also like going through the evolution of having previous kits, I put together, the rotary brushes with the chamber brush. You have a liner and prefab kit, and then the open fireplace kit, and the chains and the cables if you need it for glaze. So it's actually been a very popular kit for us because it just really takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, that's good. I got a couple comments. Bart Ogden says Dave will also do custom kits. He did one for us. Great products.
Yes.
How often? I mean, obviously, probably sweeping is different over in Europe than it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
We'll get into this, but when people want stuff like this, are they to contact you directly, or how does this work when people want to get in touch with you about products or innovations or that kind of thing?
They always just call direct. I mean, right now,
you're a busy guy.
Yeah, it's been real busy, really, because I'm still actually doing camera repairs, when they come in occasionally. So I do that myself because I'm the guy on that. But it's not that I mind it because I went to school for it, but it actually, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, honestly, I have 108 new products, and I'm not so sure how many are going to make it into the new catalog. So it's all about time. Yeah. But no, you know what? Honestly, that's the one thing that I enjoy the most is like talking to guys. Michelle in the office, she's my office manager. She has learned a ton just from listening to me because we're right across from each other. But whatever she can't answer, like I pick up the phone always, and we end up on the phone for an hour, sometimes because we're talking about the old, August West system or Sleepy Hollow where we used to buy, our Bellfires from, so. Right. I kind of like that, that's my thing, but
keep your thumb on the pulse of the business and what they're doing.
Yeah, and I enjoy it because I'm thankful that I've got the experience in the 3 different industries that I'm selling in. You know what I mean? Because I don't think anybody calls up and I don't really have that experience. There's very few times where I'm like, appalled by something that I've heard. Like it's like, yeah, I've broken out tile and when they're encased, and I get it. There's no easy way to do that, but so I kind of get it, and that's what makes the difference, I think.
Yeah, another question here. Kivo asked, are you guys getting into liner sales?
Thought about it, but
I'm sure you thought about everything.
Not, I thought about caps and I thought about liners and all that stuff, but it's not in the cards right now, really.
Okay. All right. Next thing. I love that kit, by the way. All right. You've got, what is this?
This is from a sweep. This is a prime example of Flynn O'Connor's worked the booth with us. You probably met him. Shorts, kind of long, red beard. Great guy. He's a sweep in New York. He hit me with this idea. I think it was back in Norfolk, and I loved it immediately. So it took a little while to get it going, but he's making them now in his garage, or he's got a little facility going now. But it's just one of those new added, like keep your hand off the rod, kind of like we have a power grip, but I like this because it gives you like you have like a few different angles that you can use it. You can use it at a 90 or, straight down, straight up. But it's a nice little like rod guide, really.
Is that what you call it, a rod guide?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Great idea. All right. So is this the single vac?
Yep.
Single
vac.
What's this one?
That's another smaller version that I do. I do it in stainless, and I have new poly tanks for that same trolley that are coming in actually in a couple weeks. So what's nice about that tank is that we can do any motor in it. We could do a single motor and have the same suction as we have in this, like the one motor vac, but primarily some guys just don't have the room in the truck, so they want something a little bit shorter, a little bit more compact. Dryer vent guys like it because they can actually pull it off the trolley and use it for dryer vent cleaning. So yeah, just another version.
Little fan built in.
Oh yes, the fan whip. That thing, it's funny. I started off with that, and that comes from my air duct cleaning experience. I used to make it out of a rubber, and I still have it probably in a 7-inch rubber version. But when I first introduced it to the UK, they thought I was nuts. They were like, "This thing, what are you going to do with this?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. You guys try it out, and you guys let me know," because I come from an air duct cleaning and chimney side of things. And for me, I designed it for two things. I knew it would be useful for air duct cleaning because you could like move air. If you didn't have enough like negative air going through the vent, you could put this behind a brush and move the air where you want it, forward or reverse. And for chimneys, I mean, I think anybody sweeping chimneys knows that like in the summertime, you get that flow reversal where, you're doing a basement fireplace and the flow is always coming back at you. Mm-hmm. So this was designed to kind of overcome that. And, it was funny, like a year after I introduced it in the UK, they were like, "This is the best thing since sliced bread," because they started using it. Like some of their offsets in fireplaces have like a flat shelf instead of like a nice gradual 45. So they have an offset, but there's a flat shelf. So in the past, when they rotary clean it, all the soot just laid on that shelf. They could never get it off. So what they did, they started using this fan whip in reverse. And with once they kick it up with the like either a whip or a brush, it will pull it off the
right.
And then they do a lot of chicken farms over there. So they have these long horizontals where the stuff, once you rotary clean it, it lays in the bottom. And now with the fan, they put the fan on it and it just pushes it all the way to the end where they can vacuum it out. So
that's awesome.
That's kind of where that kind of came from, but it's been pretty useful, really.
I love this innovation. What is there a certain kind of drill or certain kind of, brand or size that works best for your equipment?
Best drill I found is, Milwaukee makes a good one, but I really think that they're all decent. The only thing that I recommend for most guys is to get like a 6 amp hour. Now they have like, 7 amp hour, 8 amp hour, but the amp hour really rating on the battery itself, on the lithiums, really makes a difference because you get more power and torque out of them, and you also get longer use out of them. So the amp hour rating, I would say that's the thing that I would look for, not so much the voltage. You can do a 20 volt at 3.5 amp hour and it's not going to like really, cut it for you. So a 6 amp hour or better.
So quick question from Jim Brewer. He asked, does the fan create a downdraft if run in reverse?
It will. You can actually reverse it. I put a coupler on it so you can reverse it. But yeah, it will.
It sounds like when you were talking about the way they were using it in Europe is you're not really running it to get a thing. You're just kind of moving it so it cleans off, a flat area. You're not really full on for a while.
Yeah, it just kind of creates, like most guys, were like, why would you ever run it reverse? And that's the only time I say that you would is like over in Europe, they want to have that reverse error. It's not, because the smoke shelf, or I should say the offset, with that flat shelf in the UK is up higher, so you're not really blowing it back in your face. It's more or less creating a negative, like a reverse air, so that as you're kicking up the dust, it's pulling it off the shelf and then falling into the firebox. So that's really where I would use that. Most of the time you're trying to like push forward.
Right. That's neat. I love that. What do you call that product?
The Fan Whip.
Perfect.
Fan Whip Pro. Yeah.
So Ron Clark was just talking about this. He said, I like your idea of the weights on your tile breaker over the round ones that are out there. Talk about this product.
Yeah, that actually has been around a long time. I know. I looked at the tile break, and after talking to a bunch of sweeps, they really liked it. So what I looked at was, like what could we do to actually make it a little bit better based on, some of the feedback I got. So this new tile breaker, which I call it TB Pro, I put the hex weights on it because anything with a sharp edge on it is going to impact the tile and break it better.
Grabs it.
Yeah. Because, you've got like with the points on the hex, it actually does make a big difference. We've got a lot of feedback from guys that say this works so much better than the old, tile breaker that they've been using with the round weights. So that was the concept behind it, was just having those points, and it's all hardened steel. So with this new one, what I did was, some of the guys were saying, I break chains all the time, and then I got to buy a new one. So I made the chain links replaceable, because I put bolts, hard bolts in it, but I increased the diameter of the chain itself. So it's actually much beefier. And then with the hex weights, and then I added the chisel on the bottom, because I broke out enough tile where it would just collapse and create a blockage or a dam. And this way, instead of like pulling the tile breaker out and putting a wedge chisel on the end and breaking through, now you can just do it while you're there. Honestly, we've got a lot of guys using this and loving it.
That is awesome. What do you have to use special rods for this, or is it just your metal rods, or is there something different?
Metal rods for sure. Yeah, the steel rods. And most of the guys have gone to the 5/16, the heavier duty rods, and spinning that bad boy, because it's a beast. It's it chews it up better than anything else they've used. So that's just like their feedback. So.
Are there different sizes of those for smaller, like an 8x8 flue that's hard to get it going, or what's your recommendation on that?
Actually, I'm doing a shorter chain on that. So I'll probably have that in another month, where you can actually take the bolt out and change the size of it, or we'll sell it as a small 8x8 tile breaker, because the longer lengths do not work in an 8x8. So I'm doing a shorter version of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just to be clear on those chains, let's just say you have a big, like a 24x24 or 17x17 to break out. Would you order that from you longer, or it's possible just to go to the hardware store and get what you need?
No, not with the weights on it like that. You could probably extend it. You could put
That's what I mean. Like,
you could do that. Absolutely. Yep, definitely.
Quick thing from Kyle. He said, I was just looking at these kits to restock my vans. Great time to watch the show. Thank you, Kyle, for adding that. All right, let me get to the next product here. We've got, so what is this guy? I love this.
This guy, I call that the hybrid. That's, that thing, we're starting to get more and more of those out. It's a scrub shaft is what I call it, that we made up. So it's just a small fitting that has a female and a male. So you can, I like combos. So a lot of stuff you'll see that I do is got a male and a female on it, so that you can add something else on top. So,
so that there's a connector on that, so you could change.
That's correct.
If you could change.
Yeah, you can put a cable whip on top of that. You can. This is just a regular, like our Death Star, our aluminum whip head on the top. But what's cool about this, and I'm gonna give Vic Imgarten some credit on this one, because I talked to Vic about back in 2018 when I first started. We were at the Missouri, like one of those guild shows that you and I met at out in Missouri. And he was telling me that out in Germany, he put together a regular nylon whip head with stainless steel cable in it. So, and that's what all he uses. So I'm going to give a big shout out to Vic. I didn't really like do the same thing. I kind of did the stainless steel, like so that you can mix it with other things for like glaze removal and things like that. Like the frayed stainless steel cable does great on light glaze, and then you put a cable whip on top, and it just does a really good job on lighter glaze. But what's cool about this whip head is the fact that the stainless steel cable keeps it more centered. Because with a regular standard whip, if you just do it like, a standard whip, sometimes it'll tend to go like this.
Yep.
And, for me, I like it centered. And that way, the whip line, whatever you're using, kind of flares out and gets into the corners and does everything from center. So this cable, the stainless steel cable behind that like nylon whip kind of helps do that. It kind of keeps
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's going to be the go-to, I think, in the future. I think it's going to be really cool.
Good job, Vic M. Garten. He's been around the industry a long time. Knows a lot.
Yeah, I've known Vic for 20 years, I think. Yeah,
and he loves those guys over in Germany too. He travels over there quite a bit.
Absolutely.
He's been in the industry for a very long time.
Yeah.
Kyle says, "You are selling me on these products and their versatility."
That's the key, actually. That's the versatility and innovation is the motto.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, let's see the next product up. Well, back to the
so that big guy. Yeah.
Let's see here. All right, tell us about this.
Oh, that's the new. Well, I've been carrying the Ferret Sweeps version for I guess maybe the past 4 or 5 months. I know Andrew. He's a guy out of New Zealand that designed this and came up with it. Originally, it was called the Cable Ferret for like. You would hook it onto some, wire fishing rods, and you would, fish wires and stuff in walls. Right. So, he and I and actually a couple other sweeps, kind of gave him a lot of feedback for the chimney industry, and he eventually came up with the Ferret Sweeps version, which had better lighting, of adjustable focus. I think you have some of those. I think.
Yeah, we got like 12, 14. Yeah.
How many?
14.
See, that's why you don't bid up Mark, when you first meet. That's, but anyway, so, but this Ferret Sweep, the Ferret Plus actually is a kind of a new version. And what I like about it, and I've kind of gone to this like exclusively now, is it's got onboard recording. So if you lose signal, it will still record and then dump on the device. Yeah. So if you lose it after 15, 20 feet or whatever, we have the repeater that gets you a little bit better distance in masonry. Masonry flues for wireless has always been an obstacle, right? Whether it be the GoPro or whatever, anything wireless in masonry, fireplace is just, is hard. So, but this tends to, it's got the onboard recording. It's got an always up feature, which means more so for dryer vent cleaning. If you keep spinning the rod and keep spinning the camera, it always just keeps popping back to like facing up.
Oh, so really?
Your view is always up.
Wow. So just to be clear, when it says Ferret Plus, that has, because we've got the ferrets and with the repeaters on them, but we don't. I don't think if it loses signal, it doesn't keep recording. Is that what's different about this?
That's correct. Yeah. And the repeater works with all the ferrets now. So, like, I'm selling this with the repeater separately. The Ferret Plus or the Ferret Sweeps came with the repeater. But what so they've increased the range by about 10% with a new internal antenna. I love the onboard recording. It's got tons of memory. It's got an SD card built inside of that little thing, and I like the always up feature to it. So I started using that in this little dryer vent cam that I just came out with. So that's been working pretty good actually. So that's
awesome. Cody asked, does it still get a lot of light wash across the crystal? That was our biggest issue with them.
Light wash across the crystal. Well, I know that the camera itself has an auto iris so that if it's super bright, it will automatically adjust down to like kind of bring it in range so that it's not like super bright and giving you a lot of glare. So it does do that.
Okay. Alan says, Dave, ask Mark for the sale of 14 Ferret Pluses. I like your closing chances.
How many did you just buy of the Ferret Sweeps? 40?
I know. I felt like I bought early.
Well, I try to stay on the cutting edge.
Yeah, I know it. I made the buying choice too early. I'm having buyer's remorse. Ronald says, Easy Share SD. What is that? What I guess
on the Ferret, it actually automatically dumps as soon as, like, if you're out of range, you come back into range. It's on your device.
Oh, you don't have to hook into it. It's like it goes in.
Yeah, it'll link up.
Wow, that's cool. My gosh, you're killing me. Killing me, Dave.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
All right. So the next product was what you just showed. So
I just put that Ferret Plus in a housing. I just learned CAD and got a 3D printer, so I'm having fun.
That's so. And is that a flex piece on the back side of it?
That is a spring. Yeah. Yep.
And is that just for inspection only? Can you hook it to anything that cleans, or no? Not at this point.
As far as like using that with a rotary cleaning device, yeah, I got something in mind for that. That's one of those new products.
I put my name on
it. Yeah. Sorry about that.
All right, so let's see here. Let me look at what we got next. So talk about this.
That's my chain whip. The only uniqueness about that is that I've got it with standoffs where you can use like smaller chain or larger chain, so that larger chain is nice because it doesn't get stuck in the cracks or in the mortar joints. But anything else out there, you kind of have to use tools to like change the length of the chain or change the chain at all. Right. So I just put one of my smaller Snaplok fittings on it, and you just kind of open it up and change the length at will, or change the chain itself and just snap it back together. No tools required. So. Oh,
so awesome. So this is funny from Ted Katita. I love Ted. Ask when Dave sleeps.
Not much.
Never. No time for that.
You're amazing. This is amazing how much stuff you come up with and get out there. There's a lot of people with a lot of ideas. You're a guy who gets it done. I applaud you.
Now, a lot of guys have a lot of ideas. It's just it is hard to get it to go.
That's the end of my tape or my deck of pictures for you.
Cool.
Man, such good stuff. And you said you got about 108 other things that you've got to list.
Exact. Yeah. So the biggest problem is finding time to get them to fruition. So, but I got a couple sweep ideas that are going to come out. So I think you're going to get some that sweeps are coming, and just saying, hey, I've got this idea. I really have good half a dozen ideas from sweeps that, we're going to, I always work out the whole, financial side of things, because it's not a royalty thing. It's just like, you make so much more just by, me being able to just pay you something on it as if I'm buying it from you as I'm a distributor, but I'll manufacture it and I'll take it to fruition. So.
Yeah, dude, I love that. So let's products amazing. What drives you, man? Why like you, what is driving you?
I'll tell you what, it's the thing that drives me the most is like coming up with new ideas. And like, the frustrating part for me is like not being able to get them done as fast as I want to, because I think for me, ideas have just, it's always been the easy part. I don't know what it is. I've done a lot of different things. I've done retail, I've done QVC, and I've done, I acquired another company 2 years ago, Wildlife Control Supplies. I don't know much about that industry. I learn a lot every day. There's some crossover between chimney cleaning and the chimney sweep industry and wildlife control, because we do similar things sometimes. But I like just looking at something and saying, we could do this better. And that's really what drives me. And I like the customer service side of things. I think we do the best that we can. Sometimes we're a little bit delayed shipping because we have just been bonkers crazy busy, and supply has been a little bit, challenging. But honestly, anybody can call up and talk to me or Shell, and we got the answers for them. And if somebody's broken rod 2 years ago, I bought it 2 years ago and I broke it, yesterday. I really don't care. I'll send you a new rod.
Nice.
I'm not a corporate type mentality kind of guy. That's one.
I realize there's a couple more pictures on your deck that I missed. Let's talk about
the little platform.
Yeah,
that little guy has been going like crazy. That's a platform I buy from Germany. That was like designed and it's manufactured in Germany. And we had some bells and whistles to it, but I saw that at a show. Oh God, maybe 4 years ago, and I was like, boom. Because I used to make my own. Not that fancy. It wasn't that compact, but I used that little platform for putting on caps or putting liners in. And I had all the roof staging at the time too, because I did all my masonry. But we've sold tons of those little things, and some guys will buy 3 or 4, surround the chimney. It's lightweight. It's 20 pounds. I mean, geez, you could carry 2 up at one time, and
and you're getting a lot of nice comments on this. Ron Clark says, I use this every day. Nick Guy says, I missed it, jumped. Nick Guy says, absolutely love that platform. Dave Levitt, he says, will this video be able to be watched again, miss the first half? Absolutely. It'll be replayed on Facebook. If you're on SureFire, we put all these back on SureFire. So yes. Jim Brewer asked, what is the name of this?
This little platform, I sell it, through it's a company out of Germany called Halo, and I just add some bells and whistles to it so that we can put it on a chimney.
Is it called a chimney platform? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Are there different sizes, or is there one and you just add more to it?
That's the only size right now. It's 2 foot by 3 foot, which is a pretty good size platform. A lot of guys have probably seen in the past couple shows anyway, I've got some larger platforms with the foldable railing. That's more of a customized thing. We're tooling up with a new manufacturer for that because our last manufacturer really couldn't cut it. So they just couldn't keep up. So when, so we are, gearing up, in the near future, hopefully, to do more of, we got the 2 styles of the larger platforms with the railings.
Really?
Yeah. So it's nice because it folds up and you can still carry it up.
Dude, so awesome. All right. So then cameras. I can't believe we went through this.
Oh, yeah, right?
So let's talk about this camera, this guy right here.
This little guy is really, taken off. I mean, I can't tell you how many hundreds of those that we sold the past year. ChimScan is a great company. I always use a ChimScan. I still have it, but my local guy has it that I sold to. The reason I did a camera was, I had access to a good manufacturer that was able to take my design, put it into fruition, and come up with something that, I really designed it to be marketed worldwide. So, it was kind of a mix of, we wanted a pan and tilt, and we wanted something touchscreen, and I just wanted something that was compact, very much like the Vollers or the Rest cameras over in Germany,
right?
Where you could just strap it on and work hands free, and it's got a built-in hotspot, so you can wirelessly transfer all your files in a matter of seconds, footage counter, and all that good stuff. So,
awesome.
Cameras are always a challenge. That's the harness there. That's me sucking it in while I'm wearing it.
You're looking pretty flat. You're looking good.
I know, right? That's good. Thank God that was taken about a year ago.
Before your COVID,
man. I can blame COVID.
So on this, that reminds me. So how long would the battery last on something like that? And do you have screen for the sun getting on the, any kind of a shadow issue?
Yeah. I am working on a sun shield for it that clips on the front. The screen is actually designed to be a non-glare. So, it is glare a little bit, but
Sure.
it is kind of like a sun glare resistant screen. So it does help quite a bit. And most of the guys I know that are using it are probably scanning from the bottom up. But, this little harness allows you to at least to get on the roof without having to worry about where you're going to put it and just.
And how long is the battery life on that? Do you need to charge it up every day? Do you go a week?
No, the guys go weeks, even though they're using it on every job. The battery lasts a good 6 to 8 hours, and it's got a pretty fast charge on it. So hour and a half, 2 hours. But I'd say, and you can always use it while it's plugged in. So most guys get a lot of use out of it before they plug it in.
The looks like there's some feet on the bottom. Is this leveling feet so you can set it on the chimney, or what is that?
It's just rubber feet, so it doesn't slide when you're working, with it from the bottom up. With the harness, you really don't have to worry about where you're going to put it on top of the chimney. You can just wear it.
Yeah, that's cool. A couple things real quick. Dave Levitt asked if it was that platform that we looked at. Is it OSHA approved?
OSHA approved. Well, you know what? The funny thing about OSHA is they set safety standards. You know what I mean? So they have standards for certain platforms where you really shouldn't be using a platform without a railing.
Right.
So I would have to say that it's not really, I talked to OSHA and they don't really approve certain things like that. It's just they have safety recommendations. So as long as you're tied off, which you always should be,
right.
You could work off of a 2x4, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which is what roofers do. But it's the idea is to have a safety harness. Jim Brewer is the guy for that. Having all that safety equipment on, then, there's really, they don't have a standard for platforms. We rate them
to work off of, not to keep you safe.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to always be tied off no matter what. So.
Here's Ted Katita. Spanks, Dave, Spanks. And then Cody Whitwood asked, you should look into sun shields used for drones. I've seen some guys that have retrofitted them to the chim scan and they work. Yep. So, and then Jim says again, it doesn't eliminate the need for fall protection. Exactly.
That's correct. What you're saying, absolutely.
Right? It's a work platform, not a safety platform.
That's correct. Yeah.
The perfect. And let me get back to your pictures. Make sure I got them. I think that was it. I finally actually did.
I thought I sent way too many, to be honest.
Oh no,
maybe you don't want to use all these. No, it worked out good.
Yeah, they were perfect. So we are about, guys, we are at our hour. If there's anybody that has any final questions, there was one I missed up here real quick, Dave, and thank you for your time. I know you're busy, so it means a lot.
No way, man. I'll do this anytime.
Yeah. So let's see. The question was about, Alan Rush says, the big camera is a big one. I love the HDMI out of the large screen TV above the fireplace. Makes a small missing mortar joint look like a crater. Is that
a cool feature?
Yeah. Let's see. And then Cody Whitwood asked a question. Does Snaplok sell a sweep sheet with a window like the SweepMate?
I do, actually.
You do?
Yep. I've got a fireplace cover. And I actually, I work with with Lash, who actually came up with that window design. So, he gets a little something on everything I do with that.
Nice. And then Kivo says you have awesome products.
Thanks.
Man, you are awesome. You are such a benefit. You are such a huge benefit to this industry, and I appreciate you. I'm glad you came out of QVC and decided.
Right? Out of semi-retirement, actually. That was an easy gig compared to this.
No kidding. This is a tough gig, but such great products, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your next iterations of helping these guys and helping all of us have better companies and better product and more professional and safer. It's just so great.
Appreciate it.
How do people get a hold of you?
Our website is number one, snaplocksystems.com. And then they can always call. That's the best, if you got any questions.
And what's that number?
888-570-5407.
So good. Gosh. All right, Dave. Thank you very
Mark,
much.
thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
And we'll have to get into another auction soon.
Oh, man. Okay. I know who not to bid up now.
Oh, so great. So great. Wow. I love what he's doing, and I hope you do too. It sounds like a lot of people are very happy with the Snaplok system and what he's doing. And gosh, we need more people like him helping this industry get bigger and get better at it. So guys, that's our time for this week. Thank you for joining us. This will be on Facebook. Please hit the button that says to get notified on this. Tell people about it, and we will see you next week. We got a great show next week. Really quickly, I'm going to have Tommy Nelms on here and also Kurt Felgelmacher talking about insurance and how to get the most out of insurance. And Tommy's going to be talking about how your perspective actually kind of leads to your bottom line. He's a firefighter, ex-firefighter. I don't know if they say ex, but he was a firefighter, and he has some really amazing stories about perspective, how to look at things a little bit differently. So, all right, guys, that's our time, and we'll talk to you next week.